Welcome to Brooke Does Yoga. My name is Brooke. Let's do some yoga together. Today we are working on everyone's favorite pose, Chaturanga. This is a deceptively simple looking pose that is actually very challenging. It requires a lot of strength in pretty much all areas of the body and a lot of body awareness to be able to do Chaturanga with safety for the body. This is a great primary pose to start to work on if you are wanting to amp up your yoga practice a little bit, or you want a difficult pose to start working on. This is the foundation of a lot of our arm balances. So this is a great one to work on before we get to those bigger, scarier postures. This is a great place to start. As it is a more challenging pose, it does have a little bit more risk than some of the yoga poses in terms of injury. It relies a lot on strength in the chest, the upper back, the shoulder girdle, and this area tends to be one of the most easily injured areas of the body. The shoulder joint is quite shallow. So it's really important that the shoulder joint is in the proper position so that it has enough strength and stability, all of the bones are stacked correctly, and the muscles are working all together to protect the shoulder and make sure that we don't hurt ourselves. So we're going to go through a lot of different steps in this video to pursue that perfect Chaturanga. To start with, I'm just going to demonstrate the pose. Chaturanga means four-limbed staff, which is kind of like our plank pose, right? A staff is one nice long line. So I'm going to start in plank, root my fingertips down really strongly, firm up through my low belly, press down into the mat to lift my heart up into my back body. But then I'm also going to broaden my collarbones away from each other to activate the chest muscles also. To come into Chaturanga, I'm going to come forward and then bend my elbows until they're even with the sides of my body. This is Chaturanga. Whew. Difficult. Yeah. It bears a lot of weight, again, through the core, shoulders, chest, everything in there. Also, it's going to help to firm the legs and sort of distribute some of that weight down the body. So, how do we get there? Great question. Let's start by just getting some of the shoulder actions in here. We'll start by coming all the way down onto the belly for Salambhasana, locust pose. You're going to set your forehead down to the mat and take your arms down by the sides of your body with your palms facing down onto the mat. Press your big toes down into the mat. Press your full hands all the way down and sink your hips down also. It's like your sacrum is dropping through your body down into the floor. Extend the neck long with your forehead on your mat. Press down into your hands and pull your shoulders away from your ears and towards each other. Then with all of that strength, start to lift your heart up off of the mat, pressing down into the hands to lift the shoulder heads further away from the floor. Good. Go ahead and release that. That's a great place to start, just doing a couple of repetitions of that. That'll help start to get the movement in the shoulders there, the activation of the muscles on the back. After that, we can take 2 blocks to the sides of our mat, and we're going to come back down onto the belly and kind of place these blocks underneath your shoulder heads. That's going to be kind of our gauge for where our shoulders should be. We're going to take our hands by the sides of our ribs, like a baby cobra pose. And then again, let the forehead come down. And then starting with your right shoulder, lift your right shoulder away from that block. If you want more challenge, you can set the block on a higher setting and see if you can still lift the shoulder away. And we might just start there. We'll move to the left side, lift, lift. Maybe we do both. Lifting the shoulder heads up away from the floor, away from the ears, and then pulling the elbows in towards the sides of the body, towards each other. Maybe we start to engage through the core and lift the heart up as well. So again, that's going to give us the actions across the front of the shoulders and on the back body. One of the most common issues with Chaturanga is that we tend to do it with the shoulder heads dropping forwards, which causes a lot of strain on the rotator cuff muscles. We really want to make sure that when we're diving so much weight forward, we're pulling the shoulders back so that all of our back muscles can help support that weight and we're not dropping it all into the shoulder joint itself. Once those two options feel pretty good and we feel like we've gotten a good handle on those muscle actions, we can start in a supported plank, planting the hands and then taking the hips forward of the knees, so we're on a diagonal. Activate all of your core actions like you would in a plank pose. You can even tuck the toes and lift the knees just to feel what that feels like. Engage, and then drop the knees down and see if you can keep all of that action through your core, through your arms, stretching the chest forward slightly. And then we'll start to bend the elbows straight back so that they stay close to the sides of the body. Lower down to your Chaturanga height. Elbows come right next to the ribs. Pull them in together and then press up. And we can do a few reps like this, starting to build strength in the triceps and just starting to feel what that Chaturanga feels like. With the knees down, it's a little bit less weight on the front of the body, so that's a great place to start. If you want to make sure that you are lowering down to the appropriate height, you can use a block underneath the chest. A lot of times in this pose, we feel like we're really far down, but actually we have quite a ways to go here. So you'll kind of figure out what height is good for you. Using a mirror or taking a photo of yourself here is a great thing to do to make sure you're getting the correct alignment. You'll place the block and then again just take some of those Chaturanga push-ups, lowering down until your chest touches the block. Maybe hold. Engage the belly. Stretch the heart forward. Pull the shoulders down and back. Good. And then, next step from there is to add a second block. This one's going to go under your hips, and it'll be the same height as your front block to make sure that as we lower down, we're lowering down all in one strong piece. A lot of times here we have a tendency to either lift the hips away or drop the hips down first. And we really want to make sure, remember this is four-limb staff. So we're one long plank of wood lowering down all in one piece. Lift up through the low belly. Stretch the heart forward slightly. Push the mat away. Bend the elbows. Ideally, your chest and your hips are going to touch the blocks at about the same time. Again, that'll give you a good idea for where you want to be. And we might put some weight into the blocks here and just kind of feel in the body, okay, this is what it would feel like if I was in Chaturanga. Once that feels really good, you can start to play with removing one block or the other and practicing that way. And then eventually removing both blocks and again practicing just your full Chaturanga. A great sort of intermediate step is to set the knees down when you start to feel the body not be able to hold all of the weight. So as you start to lower, if you feel the belly start to sink or the shoulders start to dip forward, put the knees down and then lower the rest of the way. So that kind of lets you moderate your chaturanga to still be healthy and safe for your body, particularly within a flow. Hopefully those are some helpful tools for you. Chaturanga, again, is a challenging posture, but it's very gratifying and it is a building block for so many other things. It's also great for our posture and body awareness, so it will translate really well into the rest of your life. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time.